Hey guys, I know it's been, a long time since I had done any kind of a video, and yeah, I'm still stacking silver, same as usual, same as I've suggested, everybody else do for quite a while now. I'll show you a new piece that I got before I, get into the reason I even done this video. I picked this up a while back off of a forum I deal on, Bullion Stacker. I'll post a link down there in the description if you want to check the forum out. A lot of good deals on there, and everybody's pretty good. You want to do your own due diligence, check people's feedback, whatnot, but everybody on there is real good, upstanding that I've dealt with. Can't speak for everybody, but all my transactions have been fine. But that's a 10 ounce Year of the Snake. It's a generic round from Atmex originally. They're the ones that made it, but I just thought it was kind of neat. I got this one, and I got a 2 ounce version. Looks identical, but just 2 ounce. Thinking about getting the rest of them to complete a set. I don't know. If I find a deal on them, I'll pick them up. But something I wanted to, kind of make a little video about. Something I'm sure a lot of us probably have done. We watch a lot of these YouTube videos or see these shows on TV, preppers and all this. And there's nothing wrong with it at all for, preparing for anything. Whether it be, if you want to prepare for some kind of a economic collapse, or just, depending on where you live, there might be some kind of crisis. You have hurricanes and floods and, fires, other, certain places, different things like that. So there's always, something to prepare for. It's like, some of the survival experts on, TV and stuff have said, they use the weather as an example, but, you can use it for anything. You're either dealing with it or preparing for it, It's kind of just the way it goes. But, a lot of us, myself included, you go to bed at night and you're laying there, and you kind of let your mind wander about, different things on, the prepping subject. And there's a couple things that, I've been thinking about. One is, you hear a lot of people saying, well, I've got, these firearms, whatever it may be. I'm not going to get into a firearms debate, I'm all for firearms, don't get me wrong, but they say, well, I've got these guns and all this ammo, and, I'll hunt for food, which is fine. But the problem is, a lot of these people that are making those, type of comments on videos or wherever, have never hunted a day in their life. So if you've got the mindset of, well, I'll hunt for food, now would be the time I would suggest, or wherever you live, whatever game is around, whether it be deer or elk or moose or whatever, or even, as far as small game, squirrel, rabbit, that kind of thing. I would suggest, if, you have that type of mindset, go buy your hunting license, at least small game, to start off, and just try it. Put yourself in the mindset that, okay, my family or myself, whatever, starving, nothing to eat, got to go out and get something. And you'll find out 9 times out of 10, it's not as easy as you see on all those shows on TV where, they're on these multi-million-dollar ranches, and, you're pretty well guaranteed the animals are there, and you'll see something and, shoot it and go home type of thing. It's not that easy. I mean, granted, I've done it, You go out there, you sit, and you may see something, you may not. It could come down to, one broken stick, or, one misplaced, movement or noise could be the difference between, you eating or not eating, for that day. So there's a lot more to it than, people realize. It's not just a run out there, shoot it, and go home thing. It's not like going to the grocery store. It's not as easy. You gotta, have a little planning and figure out, what's in your area, and not only that, if you were to go out and, say big game deer or whatever, and say, it's a hit the fan type of scenario, and you go out and shoot a deer and it's going to feed your family, whatever, fine. But something I've not heard, anybody really mention, if you shoot an animal, regardless if it's your property or somewhere you're bugging out, whatever, and you're dragging this animal, say a deer, for example, decent sized animal, you're dragging it back to wherever you're going to, process it, butcher it, whatever. You got to be careful that there's a lot of opportunists out there that don't want to do the work, to prepare and do everything that, a lot of us think needs to be done. So if you're dragging this 100 and some pound animal back and they see you, it'd be a lot easier for them and their mindset to just come up and take what you worked hard to get. So you got to be careful with that. You got to be, pretty sneaky in all aspects. You just can't, go out there and shoot an animal, drag it home and all that. Because if you're spotted and somebody else wants it, they're going to think, well, instead of me going out there, setting all day for however long it takes to try to get an animal, I'll just take yours, So, and, if you're dragging a heavy animal like that, you're going to get tired pretty quick. And it's not as easy to, fight off any kind of, I don't know if you want to call a thief, basically. Somebody that wants to take what you worked hard to get. When you're wore out, your mind's not working quite as well, your reflexes are slower. So you just want to be careful that, if you're doing that, you just, you want to make sure that no one else is going to come up and take what you worked hard, to get. So, like I said, go get a hunting license wherever you're at and just start off small game. Or you can even try trapping some animals if that's, something you think you might do, whatever. Try it now to, that way, now if you don't get anything, you're not going to starve. You can still go to the grocery store, you can still buy you something to eat, whatever. Before times do get, extremely hard and then you realize, hey, this is a lot harder than I thought, It won't be such of a rude awakening. You can kind of learn your areas. Go in the, maybe not the exact location, but general area where you plan on, bugging out or whatever the case may be. And, just see what it all entails. It's, a lot more to it than people realize. That's one thing I've been thinking of. The other is bartering. You hear a lot of people, and I've even mentioned it myself, but, I've thought about it over the years. And I'm not saying, silver, gold, whatever you want to barter with, makes no difference as far as this goes. But there's a few things to think of. And one, bartering is kind of it's almost an art form, a skill, so to speak. Like those guys, on TV, American Pickers and things like that. You want to try your best. You always want to come out ahead on the deal. That's the whole point. To get what you need or want, with giving up as least, as little as possible. And one place I suggest, you can kind of practice this, so to speak. Go to some flea markets, swap meets, even yard sales, that kind of thing. And try it, try to do some bartering. It may work, it may not, but now's the time to kind of hone your skills, before the time really happens. And, you're kind of trying to figure out, well, I got this and I need this, so what do? It's not just, like going to the store and, buying a gallon of milk, loaf of bread, whatever, throwing your money down and leaving. It's not that easy. You gotta, have the right words, and if, you see something that you think you can get for a real good deal, or maybe that person that you're dealing with doesn't, necessarily know maybe the full value or whatever, or anything, just kind of put your poker face on, as they say. Don't show your emotions. Don't get excited when you see the item, or let it on that, hey, this is a real good deal and I'm going to get this or that. You gotta just do it strictly as a business transaction. No emotions. If you show emotions, then they're going to know, something's up, and it's going to end up costing you a lot more in the long run. But another thing, too, to think about is bartering. Okay, you've got, whatever. Well, we'll use silver for example, because that's what a lot of, people that watch this channel of mine, have mentioned, and I've even said it myself. Yes, silver I think will work, but comes a little bit of a problem with bartering in general in a, hit the fan situation. For one, a lot of people nowadays, live in areas where, they don't even know their neighbor. Never, really spoke with them. Maybe, wave at them, and that's about it. If that. So, if you don't know anybody, real well, for one, you're not going to know even what they have. So you wouldn't even know where to go to barter. In that kind of a situation, there's not going to be a sign, on people's front doors saying, hey, I do barter and all this. Even those people, like I said, like American Pickers and, all the different shows that are on, they get leads from the internet, or, you might see an ad in the paper, I've got, this, like people put on Craigslist, for example. I have this item willing to trade for whatever. Well, in that kind of a situation, everything kind of collapsed type of thing, people are not going to advertise what they have. Just, would you advertise that you have, maybe extra of this or that? No, because if you do, people's going to be opportunists again and come and just take it. So you got to, be very careful on who you let know what you've got, because you might tell one person, they tell somebody else, and before you know it, everybody knows that, hey, this guy's sitting on a whole bunch of, whatever. And then everybody, can kind of band together and come and take whatever you've got. So you got to be real careful there. It's not just as easy, like I said, as going to the store and, buying whatever. Or, people have, like I said, flea markets, swap meets, yard sales, but they always advertise. You see it in, online postings or in newspapers or wherever. Even, a flyer stapled on a telephone pole, for example, saying, hey, this is coming up, and there's always signs pointing you to their location or where it's at. Well, in that kind of a, everything's going crazy situation, that's not going to happen. You're going to be real hard pressed to find who's got what you need. So don't rely on, having silver, gold, and that kind of thing for barter is fine in the instance that you find someone to barter with. Fine. That will, be a good form of exchange. But don't solely rely on it thinking that, well, I don't need anything. I'll just use, a few items that I can stockpile, and, I'll just basically barter or buy whatever I need when the time comes. Because nobody, in my opinion, is going to have any, quote, extra of anything. Because in order to have extra of something, that would entail to me that, say food, for example. I got extra food. Well, I don't think anybody's going to be thinking that, because you don't know how long that the bad situation will last. Say you've got, a year worth of food, 2 years worth. Do you consider that extra? Do you really think that, well, I've got 2 years worth of food, but this crisis is only going to last, maybe 6, 7, 8 months? You don't know that. The timing, you never know. Regardless of what you deal in life, whether it's trying to buy metals or stock market or anything that, deals in a transaction of sorts where you're trying to get the best deal, timing is always your worst enemy. You never know. Because, well, say silver, for example. If you knew the exact time of, like, say, that it's going to hit its low. Maybe the low, I'm just throwing this number out there because I have no clue. But just say, you find out somehow silver's going to hit, $15 even, and that's going to be its low. And then it'll go up and skyrocket and all that stuff from there. Then you would, save your money, wait. When it hits 15, buy it. But you never know. It's like they say, trying to catch a falling knife. Most of the time, you'll end up missing the knife and sticking yourself in the leg, so to speak. You can't do it. Timing, nobody knows. I don't care who you listen to. You can watch any of the financial channels and all those billionaires, millionaires, whatever. They might have a lot of insight on, the economy or whatever, but they don't know timing. They don't know when it's going to happen. Just like silver, most people, myself included, that deal in it, we got real strong beliefs that it's going to get back to $50 and higher and all that. That's why we do it. But the thing is, we don't know, is it going to go to 50 in, 5 months, 6 months, or is it going to take 5, 10 years? We don't know. All you can do is, worry about what it is at the moment. That's why I've always suggested, buy it in increments. A little bit here, a little bit there. Find your deals, and, it'll work out in the long run. But if we all knew that, say it, I don't know, November 23rd at, 2:45 in the afternoon, it's going to hit its low and then rebound, then of course we'd all just sit back, wait, buy it right then, and go on. But we don't know. So that's kind of like the same thing with all this, hit the fan scenarios and all that. You can prepare, and all you can do is try to have as much as possible for when the time, comes. There's never, enough, so to speak. Just like, I don't know, if you're storing food or ammunition, buying silver, gold, that kind of thing, whatever. You can never have enough, because, the more you get, it's just going to be more beneficial for you in the long run. Like silver, I mean, do you want to say, well, I've got, maybe 500 ounces and I think that's enough? Well, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because I've heard people say that. Well, if you've got 500 ounces but the price is still, low, why not keep buying? It's just going to be more that you'll be able to sell whenever the day gets here that it hits, a real high price and you feel like, hey, now's the time to sell it. So you can never have enough of really anything that you're trying to stockpile for an event, whether it be a collapse, or a disaster type thing. You're storing water, let's say, for, maybe a natural disaster, hurricane, flood, fire, earthquake, whatever, depending on where you live. You don't know how long that situation will last. Do not, under any circumstances, don't rely on any kind of agency, whether it be government, Red Cross, whatever. Don't rely on them to come bail you out at any time. I mean, they may, get around to you at some point, but who knows? Like I said, timing. How long will that be? You can't say that, well, we're going to have a disaster and it's going to last 2 weeks before I get help, so that's all I need to worry about. Well, no, you don't know. 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, whatever. There's just no clue. It's kind of, you can revert it back to firearms type of thing. Where, I think that, people need their own protection. Whatever protection, you think you may need, whether it's a gun or whatever, you're the one dealing with the situation at that moment. Somebody breaks in your house or whatever. I mean, you're going to have to deal with it right then. Yeah, you can go hide in the closet and call the police and all that, but it's going to take them time to get there and all that, and who knows how long it'll take. And in a disaster situation, you're not the only one going to be looking for any kind of help, so you'll be a lot better off if you can deal with things for as long as possible on your own. If they show up later, that's one thing, but hey, you can't rely on somebody else to save you, is the thing. It's like a background I've got on my computer. You know, it says the average response time of a 911 call is 23 minutes. You know, the average response time of my 12 gauge is 1,240 feet a second. I mean, kind of goes without saying, you know. You're the one, you're there, so you got to deal with the situation and the events as they happen, as they unfold, and be able to, you know, deal with things that way instead of just, you know, relying on, you know, someone on the other end of a phone. Or what if something happens and, you know, say the grid would go down and cell phones or even house phones, if you still got one, you know, say they don't work. You know, battery goes dead, whatever, can't charge it type of thing. So if, you know, if you can't even contact anybody to even get them, you know, on the way to try to help you, and they're not even going to have any clue that you're even in trouble. I mean, I just don't see, you know, in a hitting a fan situation that, you know, the police or whoever are going to just be knocking doors just to check on people. I just don't see a lot of that. Yeah, I know we've seen pictures and videos and stuff of them doing that in different disasters, but, you know, that's just maybe a minute or so clip you may see, like I said, on the internet or on the news, whatever. But how many people got overlooked for whatever reason? So you always need to be prepared to handle whatever comes up at the time that it arises. Because like I said, timing, you don't know. And, you know, the few minutes it takes, even if, for example, law enforcement or whoever was to go from the station, wherever they're at, straight to your front door, no stops in between, that's still a lot of time left for something to happen. Whether it be an intruder in the house or whatever. Anything can happen. You know, it's like you see those pictures, you know, sometimes when there's a flood or something and they got to rescue people off the top of their house or whatever, you know. Yeah, the help might be on the way, but, you know, every second that it takes them to get there, that's another second the water keeps rising. So, and eventually, you're going to run out of places to climb. I mean, your house is only so tall, so you can only get up so high. So, I mean, you know, there's not a whole lot you can do. Eventually, you're going to get to a point and just be like, now what? You know, you're completely, utterly helpless. Nothing you can do. So, I don't know, just a few kind of random things I was thinking about. But, I don't know, leave some comments down, you know, below and let me know if anybody else does that. I know I do. You know, you're laying there at night trying to fall asleep and you let your mind wander about, you know, whatever happens throughout the day that you've heard about on the news or read an article here or there, and it gets you thinking, you know, what would happen if, or what would I do, you know, in that situation type of thing. Kind of, you know, when you hear these stories, put yourself in, you know, that person's, you know, position, and just think, how would you handle, you know, whatever's going on. And, you know, if you got any ideas of what you would do, now is the time to practice those ideas. Like I said, you know, don't rely on strictly barter or strictly, you know, I'm going to hunt, you know, because it's not as easy. There's not always somebody to barter with, and there's not always game out there to go after. And another thing about the hunting thing too, if a lot of people decide to do that, like back during, you know, the Depression and stuff, a lot of people did hunt. But it didn't take very long before animal populations in a lot of areas were next to nothing. I mean, you know, that's why they have hunting laws saying, you know, you can only take, you know, so many of each animal a day, a season, whatever. Because you got to give, you know, nature a chance to repopulate itself. You just can't go out there and, you know, be a free-for-all and shoot, say, every deer you see. And if everybody else does that, it doesn't take very long before an area becomes, you know, wiped out. It's gone. So you got to rotate, you know, everything. Kind of like farmers do, too. They can't plant corn every year because the ground will end up dead and it won't support it. Takes the nutrients and everything out. You got to rotate your crops, different things. Same way with, you know, animals. You got to hunt certain animals certain times of year so you can give other ones a chance to repopulate and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know, just a few things to think about. So like I said, if anybody else has got any, questions, comments, or anything, pertaining to, well, about anything I've said on my channel over the years, feel free to drop a comment or send me a message, whatever. And I don't know, I'll try to make a few videos here and there. Just been a little busy doing things, but that's about all I've got for now. So like I said, just leave some comments or whatever, and I'll respond, quick as I can. Thanks.